Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. In today's video, I'll be using Love from Lizi's November 2023 card kit called A Christmas Ballet. As I'm recording this voiceover, the kit and most of the add-ons are still available, and I do have links provided in the description box below. If you are a fan of the Nutcracker, you'll probably love this kit. Lizi's Christmas kits are some of her most popular, and they do tend to sell out quickly, so if you are interested, I would suggest not waiting. So let's go ahead and get started with card number 1. I will be using card sketches for inspiration. The first card sketch is from Freshly Made Sketches. This is number 537. I'm using one of my favorite pattern papers in the whole kit, this lovely ornament paper with a nice vivid red background. I cut the bottom of this panel following the design of the card sketch. I think it's a really fun design. Layered the pattern paper piece on some red cardstock. And this is cardstock from my stash. The kit does include colored cardstock, but I always bring in additional cardstock since I love adding lots of layers to my cards. For the background of my card, I'm using a cream colored cardstock that has a linen finish, and I cut it out using Love from Lizi's stitched rectangle die set. I'll add a couple of peel-offs at the bottom of this panel. This is the pinstripe style in the gold moondust color with gold overlay, so it's super shiny. I'll put ATG tape on the back and also some glue along the stitched edge and layer this piece on the same red cardstock. Put ATG tape on the back and add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. I generally add an additional 1/8 of an inch for the cardstock layers. If I want a wider border, I'll add 1/4 of an inch. For the narrow banner, I'm using some black pearlescent cardstock. I'll cut a fishtail on the right and left side, put glue on the back, and adhere it on the left side of the card. For a sentiment, I've already stamped out Merry Christmas, and this is from one of the add-on stamp sets. There are 2 available, and both include coordinating dies. Instead of using the die, I stamped it on a stitched oval die cut. For a final finishing touch, I'm adding a few mini star peel-offs in the same gold moondust color, just putting 3 around the sentiment. I decided to keep at least one card nice and flat, that way I won't have to pay additional postage at Christmas time. For card number 2, the card sketch is from Cards TV. This is sketch number 30. I'm using this fun Nutcracker pattern paper for the background, layering it on some dark blue cardstock. Put ATG tape on the back and add my card front onto a card base. For this card, that background cardstock layer is an additional 1/4 of an inch. I know I just mentioned that I almost always add an additional 1/8 of an inch, and then I go and add an additional 1/4 of an inch. For the narrow strip that goes across the card, using the same dark blue cardstock. And for the image panel, I'm using sort of a light peach colored cardstock. It matches some of the stars and snowflakes on the background of the pattern paper. Layered that piece on the same dark blue cardstock. I already put foam dimension on the back of one of the Nutcracker ephemera pieces. Fits perfectly on that narrow panel on the left side of the card. And I stamped out the sentiment Merry Christmas on a stitch circle die cut. And I also popped it up with some foam dimension. For embellishments, I'm using 3 of the blue gem stickers that are included in the kit. Put them on the right side of the Nutcracker panel. And I'll also add some of the new rose gold mini twinkle peel-offs. This is the sheet that's included in the kit. They're so pretty. I first put 3 around the Nutcracker, then I decided to add 2 more in the lower left-hand corner. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 2. Now moving on to card number 3, and I won't be using a card sketch this time. Using Love from Lizi's label die set, I cut out this beautiful vellum panel, and this is one of the add-ons. It's a rose gold vellum pack. I believe there's 5 sheets in the pack, and it's just beautiful. I really want the foiled color to show up, so I'm layering it on a larger label die cut in white cardstock. For the background of my card, I'm using some of the rose gold satin mirror cardstock. This is one of the specialty cardstock bundles that's available as an add-on. And I did cut it out using Love from Lizi's stitched rectangle die. I'll put adhesive on the back and add my card front onto a card base, this time leaving 1/4 of an inch of the white card base showing. I've already adhered the white label die cut. Now I'll put foam dimension on the back of a Nutcracker ephemera piece. I believe the kit includes either 5 or 6 of the Nutcracker images. And if you love the ephemera and pattern paper, you can also purchase them as an add-on. Since I don't want any of the glue to show through on the vellum, I'll first add my image and sentiment. The sentiment is from one of the add-on stamp sets. Let's crack on with Holiday Joy, and I did stamp it on a stitched sentiment die cut. I'll first attach my Nutcracker, then put the sentiment at the bottom of the panel, and it is going over the Nutcracker's legs. Then I'll put glue on the back of the label die cut piece, just putting glue behind the Nutcracker and the sentiment banner. Then I'll adhere that piece on the white label. For embellishments, I'm using more of the rose gold mini twinkle peel-offs. I'll put 3 in the upper right-hand corner and 2 in the lower left-hand corner. Love from Lizi's mini shape peel-offs are some of my favorites. They work great for embellishments since they don't add any extra dimension, but they still have lots of sparkle depending on which style you use. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 3. I really like how this card turned out. The specialty vellum with all the rose gold shine is so pretty. For card number 4, the card sketch is from Cards TV. This is sketch number 43. For the background of my card, this is actually from one sheet of pattern paper, but I did cut it in half. The very top portion where I've already stamped the sentiment Merry Christmas was a slightly lighter pink color than what's at the bottom with the fun little Christmas scene. And it wasn't the very top of the pattern paper since I'll be using that on another card. I'll layer both of the pieces on some red cardstock. Then I'll add a narrow strip of gold pearlescent cardstock between the two pieces, covering up the small gap. And I did put some double-sided adhesive tape on the back of the gold pearlescent cardstock. I'm flipping the design of the card sketch. I'll be adding the circle on the right side instead of the left. The smaller circle, I used some white pearlescent cardstock, and the larger circle is the same red cardstock I used for the background. After adhering the two circles together, I'll put some scrap cardstock pieces on the top and bottom of the circle, just in the area where it goes over the narrow gold pearlescent strip. Now I'll add a couple of the candy cane ephemera pieces. One has a pretty pink bow. I'll layer the 2 candy cane pieces together, keeping the candy cane with the pink bow on top. For a little extra sparkle, I'm using a pink glitter brush on the pink bow. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 4. For card number 5, the card sketch is from MFT. This is number 650. I'm using the rest of the pink glittery pattern paper from the previous card, and it has this lovely snowflake border. The background panel of my card, I used some white pearlescent cardstock. I'll add the pattern paper strip at the bottom, and for a little extra sparkle, I'm adding a Love from Lizi peel-off above the pink pattern paper strip. This is the clear iridescent glitter color in the pinstripe style. Then I'll layer this panel on some of the rose gold mirror cardstock that's included in the kit. I'll put adhesive on the back and layer this piece on some red cardstock. Then I'll add my card front onto a card base. All of my cards in this video are American Standard A2 size, 4¼ inches by 5½ inches. This card will be featuring 2 of the ballerina ephemera pieces. I've already popped them up with foam dimension. I'll remove the release paper and adhere both of them so their toes are on the sparkly pink pattern paper at the bottom of the card. I've already stamped and cut out the sentiment, "Dance like nobody is watching." And I stamped the sentiment on more of the pink sparkly looking pattern paper. I cut out another outline piece of the sentiment from white cardstock, glued the two pieces together just to give it that little bit of dimension, and I'll adhere the sentiment in the lower right hand corner. For embellishments, I'm adding some of the silver stars that are included in the kit. Put 2 of them in the upper left hand corner. They don't have adhesive on the back, so I did use some small glue dots. For a final finishing touch, I'm adding lots of sparkle to both of the ballerinas using a clear glitter brush. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 5. For card number 6, the card sketch is from MFT. This is number 656. I selected this beautiful pattern paper for the background that features lots of the icon images. Also has that gorgeous red color. For this smaller rectangle, I'm using some of the light brown pearlescent cardstock, and this is part of the add-on bundle. Layer both of the panels on some black cardstock. Put ATG tape on the back and add my card front onto a card base. This is a very simple card design. It's great for featuring some pretty pattern paper, an image, and a sentiment. You could use another pattern paper for the smaller rectangle panel, but I didn't want to bring in another busy design, so I went for a solid cardstock, but it has that beautiful pearlescent finish for a little extra detail. Next, I'll add a white stitch circle die cut, and I did cut it larger than what's indicated on the card sketch since I am featuring a larger image. I love the beautiful rocking horse ephemera piece, and I did pop it up with some foam dimension. I'll adhere the rocking horse on the white circle die cut. Already stamped and cut out the sentiment, rocking the holiday season. And this sentiment is from one of the add-on stamp sets. For embellishments, I'm adding some of the rose gold gem stickers that are included in the kit. I'll put 3 underneath the sentiment on the left side and 2 in the upper right hand corner. Trying to make sure to get them nice and straight. The gem stickers are super sparkly. I love this small size, and Lizi's included 5 different colors in the kit, and you can also purchase a full set as an add-on. Then for a final finishing touch, I'm using a clear glitter brush and adding lots of sparkle to the horse's mane and also the tail. For card number 7, the card sketch is from Cards TV. This is number 53. For the background of my card, the larger panel, I'm using the gift pattern paper, and the right side, the narrower strip, I'm using some blue pearlescent cardstock, and I embossed it with a snowflake embossing folder. I'll add both of the pieces on some burgundy cardstock. For a little bit of separation and shine, I'll put a Love from Lizi peel off between the pattern paper and the embossed panel. This is the gold moondust color with the gold overlay in the pinstripe style. I'll use my craft knife to trim off the very end. Then I'll put ATG tape on the back and add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. Next, I'll add a large stitch circle die cut. Put glue on the back and adhere it on the left side of the card, following the sketch design. Inside this circle, I'm adding the gift ephemera piece, and I did pop it up with some foam dimension. For a sentiment, I'm using the stamp set that's included in the kit. It has the sentiment, the gift of giving. I stamped the sentiment with black ink on white cardstock, cut it out using the coordinating die, and there's also a die for that extra outline piece, and I cut that out from the same burgundy cardstock. I'll adhere the 2 pieces together. And while I was waiting for the glue to dry, I did place an acrylic block on top. After I let that sit for a minute, I'll flip over the sentiment, put foam dimension on the back. I'll remove the release paper and adhere the sentiment in the lower right hand corner. For a final finishing touch, I'm adding some of the rose gold gem stickers that are included in the kit. I'll put 3 of them around the gift ephemera piece. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 7. For card number 8, using one of my favorite card sketches, this is from OWH, it's number 218. Another favorite pattern paper of mine, features lots of fun, whimsical looking houses and a snowy background. This sketch is perfect for featuring fun pattern paper. I'm using some light blue cardstock for the background, and this is cardstock from the kit. For the strip that goes across the card, I'm using more of the specialty vellum that's available as an add-on. Has that lovely rose gold foiling. Since I don't want to add adhesive on the vellum where it'll show, I'll first put a couple strips of ATG tape on the right side, since I know that area will be covered up with the pattern paper panel. And to help make sure that vellum piece stays down, I'm adding a Love from Lizi peel off along the very edge of the vellum piece. This is the rose gold mirror color in the pinstripe style, and I'll cut the peel offs just a little bit longer than the panel. That way I can wrap the ends around the back, and now this vellum piece will not come off. I layered the background and the pattern paper piece on some dark blue cardstock, and this is cardstock that's included in the kit. For a sentiment, I'll be adding one of the wooden pieces that's included in the kit. It's a large snowflake. It has the sentiment Winter Wishes. You can use it as that natural wood look, but I decided to use some white ink on it. Since this is a pigment ink, it will stay wet for a while, so I decided to do some heat embossing using glossy clear embossing powder from Love from Lizi. I covered the snowflake with the embossing powder. I'm holding it with a pair of reverse tweezers. Now it'll have just that subtle color of white and a beautiful shine from the glossy embossing powder. There are so many different ways you can decorate the wood pieces. Heat embossing is one of my favorites. Even though the wood piece already has some dimension, I decided to pop it up with some foam dimension as well. I'll remove the release paper and adhere the sentiment in the lower left-hand corner. For a final finishing touch, I'm adding some of the blue gem stickers that are included in the kit. Put 3 of them in the upper left-hand corner, following the design of the card sketch. Just need to shift a couple of them so they're nice and straight. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 8. The house paper is so fun, and there are coordinating house ephemera pieces. Now moving on to card number 9. This card will be featuring the stamp and coordinating stencil set that's included in the kit. I've already stamped out the image, lots of different presents. There are 5 different stencil layers, 1 for each of the gift sizes and 2 for each of the bow sizes. I'm starting with the largest gift. Using some of scrapbook.com's mint tacky tape, I've adhered this stencil in place. The ink color I'm using is Polished from Catherine Pooler. Once I finish with that stencil, I'll bring in the next layer. This is the medium-sized gift. The ink color is Catherine Pooler's Cove Blue. I'm going for a very nice dark color. I'm reusing the mint tape pieces. I just rotated them so I didn't get any of the red ink on the blue present. I'll remove that stencil layer. Now I'll ink up the last of the gifts. I'm staying with the same Cove Blue ink color, but this time doing a very light touch, so it'll be a pretty light blue. My card will be featuring some pattern paper from the kit, so I'm selecting ink colors to try to match the pattern paper. Once I finish inking up all of the narrow presents, I'll remove the tacky tape and the stencil. Then I'll bring in the first bow layer, hold it in place with those tacky tape pieces. The ink color I'll be using for all of the bows is Catherine Pooler's Shea Butter. The first bow layer has the large bows for that long gift, and the last stencil layer has the 2 different bows, the medium-sized gift and the skinny gift. I'll line up the final stencil, hold it in place with the mint tape, then ink it up using Catherine Pooler's Shea Butter ink. Even though the November kit is more Christmas themed, the stamp set isn't. You could use the gift image stamp set any time of the year. Birthday cards, graduation, new baby, anniversary, lots of different options. So once you use up all the ephemera and pattern paper, it's nice to know that this stamp set can still be used throughout the year. Once I have my stamped image all stenciled, I'll cut it out using one of Love from Lizi's Stitch Circle dies. I also cut out a larger circle die cut from some gold glitter cardstock. and this is part of one of the add-on bundles. Super sparkly, but it's nice because the glitter doesn't shed. I glued the two circles together, and I did place a large acrylic block on top for some added weight while the glue dries, since it does take a little bit longer on a glittery surface. For the background of my card, I'm using this fun snowflake pattern paper with the dark blue background. At the bottom of the panel, I'm adding some of the ribbon that's included in the kit. I'll first put a strip of double-sided adhesive tape at the bottom, then add 2 strands of the white skinny ribbon. I'll wrap the ends around the back, secure them in place with some more double-sided adhesive tape. Then I'll layer this piece on some dark blue cardstock. Put ATG tape on the back and add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. Now I'll remove the acrylic block, making sure the 2 circles are attached. Put glue on the back and adhere the large circle at the top of the card. And I forgot to show it, but I am following a card sketch from OWH. This is number 159. And I always share the card sketches I use in my videos on my coordinating blog post. The link is in the description box. Along with the skinny ribbon, Lizi also included 3 pre-tied bows. One of them's white, so I'm using that on my card. I'll adhere it in place with a small glue dot. For a sentiment, I'm adding the gift of giving. I used blue ink for the sentiment, stamped it on some light yellow cardstock. For that outline piece, I used some vellum. I'll adhere the 2 pieces together, and I will pop up the sentiment with some foam dimension, making sure to only add the foam behind the yellow cardstock sentiment area. I don't want it to show through on the vellum. For the super skinny area around the curves of the sentiment, I cut some narrow strips from the foam squares, remove the release paper on both sides. That way I can easily manipulate that piece to go around the curves. Then I'll remove the release paper and add the sentiment in the center of the present stenciled image. To finish off the card, I'll add a few of the rose gold gem stickers that are included in the kit. So there is my finished card. This is card number 9. Now moving on to card number 10, and this card gonna get a little glittery. There are a few elements in the kit that do shed glitter. So be aware if you're not a glitter fan, you may want to set those aside so you don't contaminate the rest of your projects. I donate a lot of my cards, so I decided to do this one last. And then I did put the card in a plastic sleeve just to make sure I don't get any glitter on the rest of my cards. For the background of my card, I have a piece of craft cardstock, and I'm attaching one of the glitter mesh pieces that are included in the kit. I put some double-sided adhesive tape on the back side of the craft piece. After removing the release paper, I folded in the edges of the mesh piece. Now I'll layer this piece on some green cardstock, and this is cardstock from the kit. Put glue on the back, and I did place a large acrylic block on top for some added weight, and I let that sit for several minutes. Now I'll put glue on the back of this piece and adhere it to a card base. I decided to use glue instead of my ATG since I was already getting lots of glitter falling off this mesh piece. Now I'll bring in several of the ephemera pieces. There are 4 large trees, 2 with ornaments, 2 without. I'm using one with ornaments. I'm also adding the sweet little mouse princess and the small collection of gifts. I did put foam dimension on the back of the tree, and I'll also put foam dimension on the back of the mouse and the stack of gifts. And I am putting slightly thicker foam dimension on the bottom of the mouse and the present piece. I'll remove the release paper, put the mouse on the left side and the gifts on the right. Another item in the kit that does shed glitter is a pack of wooden stars. They're super sparkly. There are 5 stars with gold glitter, 5 with silver glitter, and 2 larger white stars with an iridescent glitter look. The glitter mesh piece I used for the background has silver glitter, but the tree image has gold glitter, so I decided to use some of the gold glitter stars. I'll put glue on the back and adhere 2 stars in the upper right-hand corner. and I will place an acrylic block on top for some added weight while the glue dries. For a sentiment, I've already stamped out Merry Christmas. This sentiment is part of one of the add-on stamp sets. I stamped it on some white pearlescent cardstock, and I did pop it up with some foam dimension. Since I already have a ton of glitter on this card, figured why not add a little bit more. I'm using a clear glitter brush, adding lots of sparkle to all of the bows on the tree, areas on the little mouse, and also the bows on the gifts. Now here's another look at the 10 cards I made using Love from Lizi's November 2023 card kit called A Christmas Ballet. As I'm recording this voiceover, the kit and most of the add-ons are still available, and I do have links provided in the description box below. This is a monthly kit, so quantities are always limited. The only way to guarantee receiving a kit is to sign up and subscribe, and I do have links for subscribing in the description box below. This is one of Love from Lizi's exclusive kits, and they always sell out quickly. So if you are interested, I would suggest not waiting. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.